Hi friends, welcome back to Awana. I hope you guys are having a wonderful week and hopefully you're having a good first week back at school. For some of you, if you're watching this on Wednesday, today's probably your first day back at school because Tuesday was a snow day, which is pretty hilarious after being away from school so long, and then finally your first day back and then you have to stay home because there's all that snow. But hopefully you got to go and play in it. There is so much snow here at the church. There's just like mountains of it and the kids are having a great time in it. And I am so excited to be with you guys today and just teach you more about God and sing some songs. So we are going to start by singing a couple of Spark songs and then we're going to get into our Bible lesson.
12 men went to spy on Canaan, 10 were bad and 2 were good. What did they see when they spied on Canaan? 10 were bad and 2 were good. Some saw the giant strong and tall, some saw the grapes in clusters fall, some saw the God who made it all. 10 were bad and 2 were good. Okay, now those kids in Sparks, if you're usually here, you remember we get a bit faster, so I gotta get you to warm up your fingers. We're gonna do it a bit faster. Mrs. Hayho, are you ready?
I think so.
12 men went to spy on Canaan, 10 were bad and 2 were good. What did they see when they spied on Canaan? 10 were bad and 2 were good. Some saw the giant strong and tall, some saw the grapes in clusters fall, some saw God who made it all. 10 were bad and 2 were good. Well, that was pretty good, Mrs. Hayho. You think you're ready for what did we call it?
Supersonic.
Supersonic speed.
Okay, let's try it.
Supersonic speed.
Your
Here
fingers
we
ready?
go. I don't think my fingers can do it anymore. Okay. Big breath. Another big breath. Okay. 12 men went to spy on Canaan, 10 were bad and 2 were good. What did you see when spied on Canaan? 10 were bad and 2 were good. Some saw giants strong and tall, some saw the grapes in clusters fall, some saw God who made it all. 10 were bad and 2 were good. Woo!
Good job.
The raven's wings went flap, 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 fast down to the river they flew. They carried meat, they carried bread, as the Lord had told them to. A wee little woman was picking up sticks as Elijah passed that way. She made a little cake of oil and meal that never would waste away. God's word never fails, never fails, never fails. God's word never fails. No, no, no.
Okay guys, it is now time to learn about the armor of God, and you guys know the drill. I am going to start by reading a couple of verses from Ephesians chapter 6, and hopefully they're becoming very familiar to you. So I'm going to start in verse 14 if you guys want to follow along. Stand firm then with the belt of truth buckled around your waist, with the breastplate of righteousness in place, and with your feet fitted with the readiness that comes from the gospel of peace. In addition to all this, take up the shield of faith with which you can extinguish all the flaming arrows of the evil one. Take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God. Okay, so we are now on our fourth piece of the armor of God. We first learned about, do you guys remember? We first learned about the belt of truth. Then we learned about the breastplate of righteousness. And then last week we learned that we need to have our feet fitted with the readiness that comes with the gospel of peace. And so today we are learning about the shield of faith. So we find that in verse 16, and I'm just going to read it again because it's kind of a long one like last week. In addition to all this, take up the shield of faith with which you can extinguish all the flaming arrows of the evil one. Okay, so we are going to break this all down so that we can understand it more. We are learning about the shield of faith. So first, we're going to look at faith. So what is faith? Well, there is a perfect Bible verse that actually tells us exactly what faith is, and it is found in Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1, and it says, "Faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see." Okay, so what does this verse mean? This might be a verse that you have heard many times before. So first, it says that faith is confidence in what we hope for. So have you guys ever hoped for something? Have you ever said, oh, I hope I can fill in the blank? Maybe you said, oh, I hope I can go have a sleepover at my friend's house this weekend. Or, oh, I hope I get to go to Disney World one day. Or, oh, I hope I get an A+ on my math test. I think we've all wished for something and hoped for something like that before, right? But when we say that, when we say, oh, I hope that, we're kind of just saying it. We're not saying it to anybody. It's kind of just a wish. It's almost just like closing your eyes and wishing on a star. It doesn't really have anything behind it. We don't have any confidence in what we're hoping for. But this verse says that faith is confidence in what we hope for. And confidence is when we're sure of something. We're like, we know that we can do it. If you're confident in your math skills, then you go into a test and you don't have any worries. You're not anxious about it, but because you are confident in your math abilities. Or maybe you are confident that you are a great basketball player, so you go into your basketball game and you're like, I know I can do this. I know I can shoot the ball and get it into the basket because I'm confident in my abilities. So faith is confidence in what we hope for. And you know why? Because we aren't just hoping, we're not just closing our eyes, wishing on a star. We're not just closing our eyes and blowing out a candle and hoping that what we hope for comes true. No, our hope is in God. And we know that God is always with us and that He loves us. And so that's why we can have confidence in what we hope for. So that's the first thing. Faith is having confidence in what we hope for. And then second, it says assurance about what we do not see. So that's another kind of confusing word, assurance. What does assurance mean? Well, it means that we can be sure or positive or we can really believe. It's kind of like the word confidence as well. We can be sure of something. So the same as going into your math test with confidence, you can be assured that you are going to get a good mark because you know that you are really good at math, or you are sure that you are going to be able to win your soccer game because you know that you're good at soccer. So, but it says assurance of what we cannot see. That seems kind of confusing. How on earth can we be sure of something that we can't see? That seems kind of hard to do. Well, faith is kind of like the wind. Have you ever thought about that before? Has anyone here ever seen the wind before? No, we can't actually see wind. It's not something that we can see with our eyes, but you know what we can see is what the wind does and what it moves. That's how we know that there's wind. Sometimes someone's asked me before, oh, is it windy outside? Like when we're about to go outside and we're trying to figure out what we should wear, my sister will say, oh, Anna, is it windy outside? And you know what I do? I look out the window and I look at the trees and see if the branches are moving. Because if they're moving like crazy, then you know that it is very windy outside. And so that's how we are sure of the wind, because we can see what it moves and what it affects. And faith is kind of the same way. We can't see God. None of us have actually physically seen God before, but we can have faith in Him and what we cannot see because we see God moving in our world. And what I mean by that is we see Him do amazing things. We see Him answer prayer. We see Him. He's created this whole world. When we look out at the beautiful creation, at the beautiful snow, it had to get here somehow. And that's because there is a creator, there is a God who put it there. So we can see that God is moving and He is doing amazing things, even though we can't actually see Him. And so that is what faith is. Faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance of what we do not see. Now, the other part of this armor of God is the shield part, because it says we need to put on, or we need to have the shield of faith. So shields, I'm sure you guys all know what a shield is. We've all seen one in movies before. When I think of a shield, I automatically think of Captain America because he is my absolute favorite superhero and his shield is just so cool. And so the purpose of a shield is to guard us against things that might be able to hurt us, right? When Captain America has his shield, he puts puts it in front of him to guard him from bullets or from bad guys throwing things at him. And so it protects him, it shields him from different things that are being thrown his way. And so that's why shields are so important and why they are used in this verse. Because first, the beginning of the verse says, take up the shield of faith, but then it tells us why the shield of faith is so important. It says, with which you can extinguish all the flaming arrows of the evil one. Okay, so I need to explain this part. Just like we're not talking about a real suit and armor, remember I keep telling you guys, you don't actually need to go and get a sword or get a helmet or get a belt or a breastplate or a shield. It'd be kind of crazy if you looked like that when you went out to the grocery store. But what God is talking about is he's using an armor to show how important all these things are and why we need to have them. And so the same is true with this verse when it says, block the flaming arrows of the evil one. Now, there aren't actually flaming arrows coming down out of the sky from us, right? The devil isn't actually shooting flaming arrows at us. But what it's talking about is when bad things or bad circumstances or doubts or trials come into your life. We're all going to face hard times. We're all going to face things that we don't enjoy. And some of them might be because we just live in a sinful world and sometimes bad things happen. Some of them might be because the devil is trying to get us to doubt and try to question God because he doesn't want us to believe in God. And that's what we mean by flaming arrows. Sometimes it just seems that one flaming arrow after another keeps coming and keeps hitting us. Maybe you're having a really tough time with COVID and you had a really hard time being at home and doing school online. And then maybe you got sick and then it was just one thing on top of another and then you were missing your friends. And then maybe you got into a fight with your brother or sister or with your parents. And it just seems like one thing after another keeps coming at us. And sometimes we can think, man, is God even real? Is God really with me? Because so much bad stuff is happening. And that is why the shield of faith is so important, because that shield of faith guards us against all the bad things. It doesn't mean that the bad things don't happen anymore. When Captain America grabs his shield, it doesn't mean all the bad guys just run away. They still shoot at him. They still throw things at him. They still try to get him down. But the shield is guarding him. And that's what the shield of faith is. Our faith in God helps us when we are facing bad times. When you are having a hard time with COVID or doing online school, you can remember, God is with me. I know that he is real and I have faith that he is going to help me through this tough time. Or maybe you get really sick and then you're not going to just magically not be sick anymore when you have faith in God, but your faith in him reassures you and gives you confidence that God loves you and he is going to help you through this sickness. So that is why the shield of faith is so important. It doesn't mean that we're not going to face hard times. It doesn't mean that we aren't going to have bad things happen in our lives, trials or bad circumstances or doubts, but it means that we can use it to guard ourselves against those things that the devil throws at us, and we can be confident and sure of God and that he loves us and he is going to take care of us. Even if it doesn't mean that those bad things just go away. Sometimes God takes them away, but then sometimes he just gives us what we need to get through those hard times. So I hope that was an encouragement to you. It was a big encouragement to me because you know what, guys? Sometimes I go through really hard times too, and I have questions and I have doubts, but this passage really reminds me how important my faith and trust in God is, and that I need to have that shield of faith to guard me against all the crazy things that are happening in my life sometimes. So that was our next piece of armor. I hope you guys are enjoying learning more about the armor of God. We will continue learning more about it next week. And now we are going to end our time with a super fun song that is always a favorite of yours. So let's go end our time by singing Jump.
When you hear the sound of our music, of our praise grace. God's word is alive and it is here in this place. It's in our music, in our praises, in our voices. So everybody, get your hands up high, reaching for the sky. We're gonna have a good time. Everybody, yeah, we got joy. Every girl and boy, the beat is thumping, everybody jumping. Come on, let's jump. Here we go. Everybody go crazy, getting down with praising. Don't be lying there lazy. You can do this, watch me. Take a step to the right, bring it back with a slide. Throw your hands up high, spin around, we can do this all night. Take a step back and lean, shake it to the beat like a dancing machine. Stomp your feet and make the room go thump. Everybody get up and jump. Yeah. Let me tell you how it is. Now grab a rope and swing it around. Gotta keep in step or you're gonna fall down. Gotta read God's word and pray, pray, pray. Gotta keep in step